can't bypass this sun wherever I go. Gets me. Try it over here. Nope. Coming over the top. Go back to the tree. All right, maybe that'll work. All right. So got to stay in front of the tree to keep some of this sunlight out. No matter where I goes, it finds me. But this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Been a few days since I've been on. I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus, which is fine. Still keeping the pulse to what's going on in the sports world. Today is the official beginning of the free agency period in the NBA. And been a lot of players signing some big deals. Randall, he came up with Minnesota. A lot of these guys they have the option to continue under their old contract, or they can opt out of that contract and move on to a bigger deal. And that's what a lot of them are doing. I saw where Julius Randle, he just signed a $100 million deal. His buddy Naz Reid, he got a 5-year deal for $125 million. What's his name? James Harden, he's got a new deal. A lot of players getting new deals, and it's going to be even more that come out today. One player that was set to get a new deal was Pistons wingman Malik Beasley. As you know, Beasley played for Milwaukee last year. He came over to Detroit and had a great year shooting the ball. Malik had 319 three-pointers, and he finished second in the league, one shot behind Minnesota's Anthony Edwards. So he's in line for a big payday. He was going to get, or been negotiating with Detroit to get a 3-year deal worth $42 million, which is $14 million a year. However, that deal has come to a screeching halt. Not to say that he won't get it, but now he's got a black cloud over his head. What has happened with him? What has happened for him is that he's now being investigated for some actions he took supposedly when he played with Milwaukee last year. They're saying that there were some unusual activity on a betting line for Malik Beasley, indicating that he might have put some information out to a bunch of people to bet a certain way so they can make a certain amount of money. Now, I don't know how a player can control how somebody votes, say in Australia, and it just happened to be on the same date that a whole bunch of other people are voting for Beasley. Given the limited knowledge that I know about these betting books, and I'm just trying to get into these parlays myself a little bit, I'm discovering that they give you these things that are popular votes. And you have the opportunity to buy into that or change it how you want to change it, and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, if one player is getting a lot of action, it's because the sports books are pushing them in that direction. So who's to say that, say tonight, the WNBA's one of the players becomes a hot item and a lot of people from all over the place should start betting that? Does that mean that we should now start investigating the person that everybody's betting on? Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense for me. So I don't understand. But Beasley, he's been investigated because some heavy action was placed on him, and evidently it must have paid off because it sounded alarm bells within that sports book. So that's where the investigation is coming from. Doesn't mean he's guilty, but it puts him in a bad situation because people are going to think because he's being investigated, he's automatically guilty. You know how society is, the public, and it immediately puts you in the mind of Jontay Porter. You know, the guy from Portland who was banned for life for the NBA. And unless you confess to something like that, how can you prove that a player really had something to do with that? Now, the only other thing that can make a player look guilty is that you suddenly have a bad game and you're missing obvious things that you should be doing that you do all the time, then that would make somebody suspicious. But if you're in the normal flow of a game and you miss a shot or two here and there, even the obvious shot, it happens all the time. Does that mean that you're guilty of running some kind of gambling ring? I don't think so. But it came at a rotten time for Beasley because, like I said, he's getting ready to sign a 3-year, $42 million deal, and now that deal is on hold. He could very well end up like Porter. You may panic and just start telling them whatever they want to know just to get him off his back. killing his career in the process. I hope that doesn't happen to him. But the real question is, how is it that you can punish one player for gambling or any kind of gambling violations when everywhere you go in these sports arenas is all around you? They're promoting gambling. Gamble this, gamble that, parlay this, parlay that. Even on the social media sites, they got the gambling commercials there. It's all over the place. So how is it that you can punish one or two players for what the league promotes? It's not just the NBA. It's the NFL. It's baseball. It's boxing. Wherever the sport is, you name it, it's all over the place. And I don't think that the players should be faced the responsibility of something that the league promotes. So I'm asking you, do you believe, because player propositions was one of the things that they asked Beasley about. In other words, he might have told people he's going to do a certain amount of things and they'll go out and do it. And they bet exactly the same way at the exact same time, and it rang bells. And that's what they're after him about. But do you believe that you can really control your props during the game? I might think I'm going to score 25, but I might just have a game where I'm shooting 25%. Or they double team me all night and I got to get rid of the ball. How can I control if I'm going to make 25 points a night? I can't. Even the great Shai Gilgeous, he can't guarantee to you that he's going to make 30 points every night. I mean, he's on a great run, and he's done it most of the time, but that doesn't mean it's guaranteed that he's going to do it. Because if he does it 15 times in a row, you just knows he's going to do it the 16th time. That'd be the game when he scores 23. And as far as control goes, the game flow and the coaching staff determines all that anyway. I've had several parlays where I tried to hit on something, and I'll be on track, and then the game turned into a rout, or they're managing minutes during the regular season, and they pull a player out of the game 1 or 2 points from you meeting your goals. So who's in control of that? Is it the player, or is it the game flow, or is it the coaching staff? So my point is this: if Beasley can affect a bet, what about the coaches? What about management when they tell you to rest this player X amount of time? Are they colluding to beat the system? That's a hot topic this week in sports. Come out that the NBA is colluding not only against its players, against the coaches, against everybody who's not an owner. And why not? I mean, we're making all this money, and if it wasn't for us, these guys wouldn't be making any money. So it's only fair that we continue to make more money than we should, because this is our thing. They came to join us to help us make money, so we should keep on making all this extra money. Makes sense if you're an owner, right? Of course, if you're the one that's generating the money, you don't believe in that, right? But when you're on top and you got the advantage, most people tend to think that it should be that way, regardless how everybody below them is affected by it. And I think that those reports about the NFL, spot on. But what are you going to do? You're going to not play football because your owner is colluding against you, or you're going to go out there and make that couple million that you wouldn't normally get nowhere else? What are you going to do? You're in a position where you almost have to do it and let the owners do whatever they're going to do because they're going to do it anyway. So that's just my point. But Beasley, I think he's getting a bum rap, and I hope it gets clear enough, at least to the point where he can get his contract, because he played well enough to deserve a contract boost. And I'd like to see him come back next year and see if he can do better than what he did in the end. He didn't go out consistent enough for me in the playoffs. He had a decent series against the Knicks, but there were games where he'd light him up and then come back 2 or 3 games later and don't do anything. And then they get hot again. So if I want to see anything from the NBA players, it's not just Beasley, it's a whole bunch of them. These guys making all this money to be consistent, but they're not. I like for him to be more consistent. But I think he's going to get out of this trouble. But the real question needs to be asked: why punish the players for something that the leagues promote? It doesn't make sense to me. And if you can make sense of it, drop me a line, let me know what you think. Meanwhile, let's see what the poll says. I'm asking, do you think these guys actually control their production in sports? Right now it's 100% saying yes. I think that players control their destiny in a game up to a certain point. Game flow has an effect on that, and the team you're playing also has an effect. You can get a general idea based on averages of where a player is, but for them to score way below the average or way above the average, those are anomalies. They're going to be somewhere around those averages, and those point lines that you see the betting lines on, those are all based on averages. And you're betting really, are they going to make the average or are they not? So the players, do they really control their production? I say to a certain extent, but not to the point where you can go out and guarantee a group of bettors that you're going to do this and do that, because that'll be the time that you won't be able to do it. And because of that, I think Beasley is not guilty of what they're thinking he did. And I wonder the same thing about Porter. But sometimes when people get into a jam, they'll go to singing. They may not be guilty, they just want the heat off them. I don't know if that's what happened to Porter. A couple guys in the NFL on hot water now behind that gambling stuff. It happens in everyday society. A lot of people in jail confessing to something they didn't even do because they couldn't stand the interrogation. But I know one thing, if I didn't do it, I'm not going to tell you I did it. And even if I did do it, you better damn sure have some proof, because I'm not admitting to anything. That's just the way I see it, but a lot of people out there, they don't feel that way. So again, most of you guys believe that these guys do control their production. I would agree to a certain extent, but there's a certain percentage of things there where you can't do anything about it, and all you can do is play your game, and as long as you play your game consistently, you're going to be somewhere around your normal production levels. But Beasley, to take the fall for something like that, I think if you're going to investigate a player, then the leagues themselves need to be investigated. Because with this collusion thing coming out about the NFL, you know that kind of stuff goes on all levels of sport. And because of that, the leagues need to take more responsibility in the things that are going on. So that's just the way I feel about it. But what say you? But I just want to come on and talk about Beasley in the NBA free agency, because that's what's taking place right now. A lot of guys getting some huge paydays, some deserved, some just hanging around catching the crumbs, whatever. It's a lot of money flowing in the NBA, and if you're able to get it, I say go ahead and get it, man. And I hope Beasley can get this investigation off him so he can get back to getting paid too. So, but it's sports for real. I just want to come on and say hello, get a few words in. Been a couple days. Unless there's some breaking news or something tonight, I'll catch you guys in the morning. So until then, this has been Sports for Real. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the other side. Until next time, I'm out.